Charles Ong'ondo Ware was more than just a politician. He was a beacon of hope, a champion for the people of Kasipul constituency. From his humble beginnings as a businessman, were understood the needs of his community. He rose through the ranks, becoming a member of parliament in 2017 under the banner of the ODM party. Ware was a man of action. He poured his energy into initiatives close to his heart: irrigation projects to nourish the land and empower farmers, youth programs to uplift the next generation. He had a vision for a brighter future, a vision that resonated with the people he served. His dedication did not go unnoticed. Ware became a central figure in Homa Bay County politics. His influence was growing, and with it the hopes of those who believed in his leadership. But his rising star seemed to attract envy and resentment, casting a shadow over his promising career. Little did anyone know that fate had a cruel twist in store, one that would abruptly end the journey of this beloved leader and leave behind a trail of unanswered questions. The evening of April 30th, 2025 began like any other in Nairobi. The city pulsed with life, the air thick with the hum of traffic and distant chatter. But destiny had other plans, a sinister plot weaving its way through the crowded streets. Charles Ong'ondo Ware, his driver and his bodyguard were en route, unaware of the danger lurking nearby. As their vehicle approached a busy roundabout on Ngong Road, a motorcycle carrying two men emerged from the throng. The rider expertly navigated the traffic, closing in on Ware's car with chilling precision. Then, everything changed. One gunman dismounted, his movements swift and deliberate. He approached Ware's car, a cold glint in his eyes. A deafening crack split the evening air. The gunman fired at close range, the bullet finding its mark. Panic erupted. The motorcycle roared back to life, disappearing into the chaos as quickly as it had arrived. Ware, the man who dedicated his life to service, lay slumped in the back seat, his dreams and aspirations extinguished in a flash of violence. The news spread like wildfire, sending shockwaves through Homa Bay and beyond. The assassination sent ripples of fear and uncertainty throughout Kenya. How could such a brazen attack occur in broad daylight, in a city teeming with life? The police launched a full-scale investigation, determined to bring the perpetrators to justice. Every clue, every witness, every whisper became crucial in piecing together the puzzle of Charles Ong'ondo Ware's murder. The investigation quickly zeroed in on a primary suspect, Isaac Kuria, a man known by the alias Kush. Apprehended near the Tanzanian border, Kuria became the prime suspect in the assassination. His alleged role as the shooter placed him at the heart of the conspiracy. But Kuria wasn't the only one under scrutiny. Philip Aroko, a prominent businessman and a known political rival of Ware, also found himself entangled in the investigation. Allegations of past threats against Ware painted Aroko as a person of interest, his motives called into question. As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that Ware's assassination was no random act of violence. This was a well-orchestrated hit, planned and executed with chilling precision. But the question remained, who wanted Charles Ong'ondo Ware dead, and why? Section 4. Whispers in the Wind, Theories and Speculations. The assassination of Charles Ong'ondo Ware became a breeding ground for speculation. Theories swirled through the streets of Homa Bay and beyond, each more unsettling than the last. Was this a politically motivated hit, orchestrated by those threatened by Ware's growing influence? Some whispered of a power struggle within the ODM party itself. Ware's unwavering support for the recent political deal between President Ruto and former Prime Minister Odinga might have ruffled feathers within his own ranks. Had he become a liability, his assassination a brutal message sent to those who dared to challenge the established order? Others pointed to Ware's business dealings, suggesting that his past might have come back to haunt him. Had he crossed the wrong people, individuals with the means and the motive to silence him permanently? The world of business could be ruthless after all, and Ware was no stranger to its cutthroat nature. As the investigation continued, one thing became abundantly clear. The truth behind Charles Ong'ondo Ware's assassination was deeply entrenched in a web of power, politics, and personal vendettas. Unraveling this tangled web would require courage, determination, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable realities. Section 5. Shadows of the Past, Unresolved Cases, and Lingering Doubts. The assassination of Charles Ong'ondo had a chilling ripple effect, dredging up unsettling memories of past incidents that had long haunted Homa Bay. Among them was the disappearance of Dorothy Apandi, a young woman who vanished without a trace in 2021. Apandi's case had grown cold, leaving her family and friends clinging to fading hope. But the investigation into Ware's murder breathed new life into Apandi's case. Apandi had met with Ware shortly before her disappearance, seeking his assistance with a job opportunity. Was this a mere coincidence, or was there a more sinister connection between the two cases? The possibility, however remote, sent shivers down the spines of those following the investigation. Had Charles Ong'ondo stumbled upon something dark and dangerous, something that cost both him and Dorothy Apandi their lives? As the police delved deeper into Ware's past, they began uncovering a pattern of troubling incidents. Threats, intimidation tactics, and a general sense of unease seemed to follow Ware throughout his career. Had he become entangled in something far more sinister than anyone had imagined? Section 6. A Legacy Ignited, The Community's Response and a Son's Vow. The assassination of Charles Ong'ondo sent shockwaves through the community he served. Grief, anger, and a profound sense of loss washed over Homa Bay as news of his death spread. People took to the streets demanding justice for their fallen leader. Candlelight vigils illuminated the night, each flickering flame representing a life touched by Ware's compassion and dedication. In the face of tragedy, a glimmer of hope emerged. Boyd Ware, Charles's son, announced his candidacy for his father's vacant parliamentary seat. Boyd, a young man who inherited his father's charisma and commitment to justice, vowed to continue his father's legacy. "My father's work is not done," Boyd proclaimed, his voice echoing with emotion. "I will fight for the people of Kasipul, just as he did. I will honor his memory by bringing his vision to life." Boyd's decision ignited a spark of hope in the hearts of those who mourned Charles Ong'ondo Ware. His candidacy represented a continuation of his father's legacy, a promise that his sacrifice would not be in vain. Section 7. Justice for Ware, a Nation Demands Answers. The assassination of Charles Ong'ondo. Ware stands as a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the ever-present threat of violence that plagues our world. As the investigation continues, the people of Kenya and indeed the world demand answers. Who orchestrated this heinous act and why? What secrets died with Charles Ong'ondo and what will it take to bring his killers to justice? These questions linger, casting a long shadow over the future of Kenyan politics. The fight for justice is not just about apprehending the perpetrators, it's about addressing the root causes of violence and corruption that continue to plague our societies. It's about creating a world where leaders like Charles Ong'ondo can pursue their vision for a better future without fearing for their lives. As the world watches and waits for answers, one thing is certain: the legacy of Charles Ong'ondo, the man who dedicated his life to service and upliftment, will live on, inspiring generations to come.